Be honest, if Earth Spirit gets buff, are you coming back?
OG's turn to ban.
Dark Seer.
I don't know what they're talking about. I want someone with that killer instinct on my panel joining me with T-Gov and Lizard. Jerax, I know you said that you haven't played since August, but let me just test your knowledge real quick. Do you know what an outpost is
10
by any
seconds
chance?
remaining. OG's turn to ban. Radiant team ban. OG's turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Again, there's going to be a slight latency because we're doing everything remotely, so don't hesitate to just talk over us. We will shut our mouths instantly. You said you hadn't played since August, so I was curious, have you been keeping up with like neutral items and outposts? And I'm sure people are kind of curious what your views on those new mechanics that were added into the game are.
So initially when they added the new items, I was very happy about it because I think Dota has kind of progressively added like new features to the game, similar to the talent system. This is something to add on top of the whole systems, and I'm a big fan of that because I think we kind of ended up stagnant at some point with Dota, and I think at least from a professional standpoint, I was just expecting more. So now they added the neutral items, and I'm more than happy. But well, I haven't played the game, so I'm as new to the game as the patch would have been released almost. So I've read the patch notes, but that's about it. I don't know much about it.
Jerax, after reading the patch notes, what did you think about the Bloodseeker? Like, this hero has been dead for such a long time. He gets these incredible buffs. Your own or your own team picks it, right? But it doesn't really work out that well for them. Is it execution? Is there a place for this hero? He's been banned out, so we won't see him in this game, but it's a peculiar topic for me.
So I read the patch notes before. I don't know what happened to Bloodseeker. I believe they buffed the blood right because I heard somebody saying it being really annoying on the lane. I think they build it like a
10
nuker
seconds
type, kind
remaining.
of like a playmaker, which is kind of new, and I know nothing about it.
5
So
seconds
I'm a noob.
remaining.
You tell me.
Yeah, scratch that question. Let's go onward. Yeah, they pretty much just do that. They build him as a nuker, as a utility. You see Vale almost picked up every single game with Greaves, and you play around the Blood Right in the laning stage. Later on, you play around that Blood Rage. Blood Right with Vale deals like 450 on level 4. It's pretty sick on a 12-second cooldown.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I've been seeing Zai building Veil on offlane on most of the heroes, like Axe also. And I think there is something to that, I believe. Did Veil get
Overall
buffed?
spell amp, yeah. Overall spell amp is just crazy because it got changed from just like magic to all spell pretty much now. So
Yeah,
that's why
like,
it's
like a year
Okay.
ago.
Oh.
yeah.
But also,
The eureka moment.
yeah. It's the drums, I
Okay.
guess, being nerfed as well, and you're thinking, okay, which item do I buy? Which item do I go for next? Team NIGMA, we see good old school combo, Dark Seer and Clockwork. Do you think this is very strong versus what OG have got picked up right now, the Wisp, Dark Willow, and Tiny?
I mean, generally, the biggest. I could talk about IO a little bit. The biggest problem of IO is team fight, and usually
G's turn to ban.
Dark Seer is considered very good against IO in the mid game, but on the laning stage, you're crying.
the opening from their opponent. That's when you can instantly lock in Miracle's hero. But you see IO Tiny, there's the flexibility for OG on these heroes. You can't really lock in a hero because OG will outplay you in the draft. So that's why they're trying to leave it to the last pick, so they can at least spend a little bit of their reserve time and work things out. So with Sanking pickup,
yeah, this kind of makes the TB pickup a little bit harder as well. It hasn't been banned out. They go for the Morphling. All right, it is a hero that's decent versus Sven, right? Overall, you can build into that Skadi eventually, but Sven just comes online a little bit faster, and the way he farms, if you make enough stacks for him, this looks like a scary game for Morph.
but it's a big Morphling game with the Axe. You can come Sanking for the stun, the Willow for, you know, the pew 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 pew. Like, yeah.
That's true, yeah.
Do you actually still build Ags on Morphling though? Like,
Yeah.
I haven't
If you have a good excuse, I think it's worthwhile, and Willow is one of those
I think mid one Sven, so it kind of leaves the three last heroes, and Thompson doesn't play anything else than Tiny and Dark Willow from those, and I would assume it's not a Dark Willow core, so it's Tiny. So yeah, sorry.
That's all I needed to know. If it was as simple from here as it was for you, then that works for me. As we will jump now into game number 1, a long-awaited matchup. Let's see how these two teams face off as we pass it over to our casters.
You're not going anywhere.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to OG versus NIGMA. I'm ODPixel here with Fogged, ready to get this best of 3 underway. We've just seen the drafts. Fogged, of course, once again, big shout out to Jerax for joining the draft panel on that one. What are you looking forward to seeing from the teams here? What have we got coming out that you're sort of excited to see?
Well, I can just scrap away the heroes, and then we just put up the team names, right?
Sure. Yeah, just regardless of what
Who cares
teams
the teams
pick.
Yeah, don't care about the hero picks. I think we know what these teams like to play, especially when they're playing versus each other. It's gonna be battling. And I think we got a lot of battling heroes too, especially on the side of OG for the early game. Lots of stuns, Tops and Tiny more than likely, a lot of aggression. Yeah, this should be fun. Yeah. This should be real fun.
And coming into it, I mean, from what we've seen so far from the teams, would you consider one of the teams in a better place right now from what you've seen in this Omega League?
I don't know. I feel like it's just, they're kind of like, sometimes they just pop off on one side, sometimes they don't. I feel like I'd say they're kind of evenly. Maybe I'd give OG a little bit of a margin over, just because I feel like for NIGMA they're a bit more limited on the heroes that they just like straight up win on. It's like Miracle anti-mage, Miracle on his super hard carrier, Weeha on his select few heroes. While OG, I feel like they've got a little bit more of a plethora of strategies and stuff that they can play around here.
Sure.
But I think it's still just super evenly matched up. This one though, I'm looking at OG. I like their early game aggression that they've got going on here. I do feel like NIGMA, they're more about coming in after the laning phase in particular, right? Morphling and Darkseer, these two heroes, they take some time to really ramp up and start getting that power in the mid game. So I think that's the biggest thing that I'd be pretty much looking at, is OG just playing very hyper aggressive in the early stages. And we're seeing already with their stances in the lanes, look at the way that NIGMA's, you know, just posing themselves. They show the clockwork, but he knows he can't contest with bounties. Morphling, same thing. It's going to be 3 runes for OG at the start here.
All right, yeah, there we go. And you're looking at this lane setup. GH on the support Rubik up with Mike Darkseer at the top. We are on his signature Wind Ranger here in the mid lane, and we'll be playing that matchup into the Tops and Tiny.
Instant D-ward there for Saxa. So this is going to open up a little bit of maybe some fear into Weeha, just like, oh god, if this guy like rotates from around the side here, as we do see, like OG is one of those teams that they do like to rotate maybe a bit early on to the mid. We'll see how this matchup ends up going here for Topson.
Yeah, and then obviously that leaves down in the bottom lane. You've got this lane of the Morph supported by the Clock, dealing with the Willow and the Seb Sanking.
Looks like you could get a lot of pressure onto him as this Morphling. So one thing that Willow does provide you in laning is that very quick attack speed, and you're always able to get that quick harassment there. Arman, he can soak some of the pressure, but he can be at risk of dying too. But that's kind of his job, is to eat the spells, as if he does walk up too far, eats a stun, eats a bramble, then it'll give Miracle some... This doesn't look like a very fun lane for Miracle at the fierce few levels whatsoever.
No, for sure, he's got to be careful how much Agi he's in.
Yeah. So I do think OG, they drafted themselves with 3 very strong lanes, and like we said, NIGMA, they're going to have to need some time to be able to build up the power here. Darkseer versus the Sven can be a little annoying, but there's an IO backing him up. Sven should be able to farm just fine here with that extra sustain.
Yeah,
See if they get the side pulls off here. Looks like they did.
And the blocks right here, so...
Yeah, very beneficial there for NIGMA, and they're going to try to be pushed off there by OG to be able to secure at least the last hit on there on that Wildling. And GH actually getting very, very heavily body blocked by the 2 level 2s there, as they're supposed to level 1. Does have to watch how he trades versus that overcharge tether.
Yeah, bottom lane again, we're seeing the harassment onto Miracle, bringing him pretty low.
Like this by RMN. Actually, like, going for the cogs level 1. He's just going strictly for mana burn, pushing them away so that Miracle can actually walk up and farm. Still struggling, though. It's just, he's very low ranged. Every time he walks up, he's going to get hit by Saksa, and he's at risk of getting stunned immediately by Seb. So he has to keep himself at a good health margin, too. Wait for him to protect his salve there.
Yeah, he's got some no qualms with using it for that.
Yeah.
He's not going to be using it aggressively in this lane.
Has Seb skilled up that second skill point yet? I don't believe so. I think he's holding just in case. More than likely to Sandstorm. But don't want to get the cost. Like, you don't want to push the wave constantly into the Morphling. You want to be able to somehow pull the lane back a bit here. Top, they're getting aggressive.
Yeah, he's going to be at the point saved. Yeah, skills into Surge.
Is under attack.
Mind control. Able to break away from this. And yeah, between the carries, I mean, sure, no pressure's definitely there on Miracle down bottom, but he's only a few CS behind mid 1 Sven.
Yeah, he's doing pretty decent.
Yeah.
Out of regen, though. And I think RMN is also pretty low on regen, too. And that's what you'd kind of expect out of these, you know, this heavy harassment that's coming out from this Sanking Willow dual lane.
I mean, just, if you look sort of across the board, it's super close here on these first waves. No lane really coming out massively on top. Nobody yet to fall top lane. No,
dropping low.
Maybe in trouble. The Iron Shell and the Surge forward. They've got the control of the telekinesis. The Iron Shell's burning it down. He's going to pop the Fairy Fire. Mind control.
He goes down.
TH, they've got the right clicks.
Wow.
What is
That's a bit surprising, too. And it's just a Darkseer with the level 1 Ion Shell. They didn't have the sustain to keep the Sven up. I guess he was just too low initially that they could get that little bit of extra touches on him. Not how I expect that lane to go out at the start here. Even though Rubik, he does provide a lot of that harassment, I did think the IO was going to be able to keep that sustain for the Sven going. So I think for NIGMA, that's a really strong start.
What you sound like.
And we're going to see constant, you know, side pulls coming out here. Team's trying to maximize, pull the lane back in particular, and makes it even more awkward there for poor Miracle, as he can't really walk up to contest this at risk of all these double disables.
Yeah, looking at the continuation of the mid lane, it's stayed pretty even here between Topson and We Are.
Gets a career
that will give him a nice little bit of a gold bonus.
And he...
Squad. And RMN's going to stop Topson from getting the rune.
Okay.
As he's in, and do get the setup for the shackles. Have they got enough damage? They're actually going to still let Topson bottle the rune. So Topson, he's going to be quite happy with that. I think when RMN showed up, you sort of expect, oh, I'm not going to get the rune, but Topson was actually able to still walk in and get the bottle refill.
A little bit of a mistake there from NIGMA, not actually prioritizing the rune.
Yeah, just more focused on trying to threaten the life of Topson, but not having the damage to do so. So Topson, he's going to be able to stay in the lane, despite that move from RMN.
Does need to bring out a little bit more regen, though, for himself if you just want to stick around here. Power shots are adding up. Weehaw, as we see every time, Raindrop, you're playing versus Tiny. Gonna always be seeing that picked up on a lot of different heroes here, too, especially on the other lanes, because Tiny's going to start roaming pretty early on. You know the way Topson plays. So there we go. Bounty rune's coming out. He's going to make his first aggressive move.
Yeah, he's able to pick up the bounty rune, get the free rebottle, and they'll get the kill as well. As the combo comes in onto RMN.
Every time I see this Topson Tiny, I just, you know, you think of TI, and it's just like, you think of True Sight, and it's just like, well, time to go start killing again, right? Especially once he starts getting low in that middle lane, if he can see any type of runes that he can make rotations for. Weehaw, he's going to do a similar move, though. He's actually going up top. He's got that level 6. He's got that
let's see what he can do. They're going to get aggressive. Mid one and No Tail trying to lead it on to mind control, but now there's the turn. We are focusing straight away on